How to buy a home in Houston in 2022. I'm Melanie Beran with Wyatt Properties, myhomeinhouston.com, and I am here to give you the information that you need on your home buying journey. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and even leave a comment if you have a question. So you want to buy a home in Houston in 2022, but you're not quite sure where to get started. These are the things that you need to know. First of all, before we even get to the home stuff, make sure that you know that interest rates are projected to rise over the course of 2022. So what that means is the longer you wait in 2022, the more money it's going to cost you to borrow the same amount of money to buy a home. Now, if you're a cash buyer, that doesn't really apply to you, but I was not a cash buyer when we bought a home. Most buyers are not cash buyers. So that's probably going to affect you. So the earlier you can move your timeline into the year, into, late winter, early spring of 2022, the better off you are. I've even had clients in the past look at their leases and decide, hey, I'm actually going to save money, a lot of money in the long run, if I go ahead and break this lease, pay the penalty, do the right thing, of course, but they ended up going ahead and locking in a super low interest rate, breaking their lease, and buying the home that they loved. So interest rates are projected to go up. So if you're going to buy a home, you want to get pre-approved as early as possible, and then know that from that pre-approval, it's probably going to take 2 to 3 months to find and buy the home that you love. So whenever you want to move, 2 to 3 months before that, go ahead, contact a real estate agent. I'd love that to be me. Contact a lender. I can give you recommendations, but go ahead and start that process. And the earlier you can move your timeline into 2022, the less buying a home is going to cost you. The second thing to know is that if you were just totally freaked out by the real estate news last year and you were hearing on the news and reading that there were all of these multiple offer situations and people paying $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over list price and waiving and skipping inspections, which I never recommend skipping an inspection. But people are doing all these crazy things to buy a house. That has calmed down. And so if you're waiting to buy a home, that's actually some good news for you. You may still be in a multiple offer situation where you find a home you love and someone else loves it too, but maybe there's only 2 or 3 offers on the table for the seller to choose from instead of 8 or 13. And that puts you in a better position to buy a home that you love. We're also seeing homes sit on the market just a little bit longer, so it's not like a home hits the market and you have to be there within 30 minutes or it's gone. That's kind of how it felt this past year. But you're going to be in a better position to just take a little bit more time. It's still a seller's market, so you're going to want the deal to be favorable to the seller, but you also are going to have opportunity to put some things in that contract that make it favorable to you as a buyer. So just know that buying a home in Houston in 2022, the craziness has calmed down and the market has stabilized. So that's a great thing if you're planning to buy a home this year. Also, pay attention to the new build communities. The new build communities have started a lot more homes this year than they were able to last year due to all the pauses and construction issues and things like that. So that's going to help alleviate some of this inventory shortage, which again is helping the market calm down. So a new build community may be the right fit for you, but even if it's not, the more new builds that are going on, the more opportunity and more inventory you're going to have to buy a pre-built home. So inventory both within the regular, resale, hey, I'm going to go in a neighborhood and buy a house home. That inventory is getting back to a more normal level, and new starts in new construction are also getting back to a normalized level. So again, that kind of pairs with that last point. But new builds are also going to alleviate the stress and the inventory panic of trying to buy a home. So really, what does this mean if you want to buy a home in Houston in 2022, right? I just threw a bunch of information at you, and I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. But first, make sure that if you want to buy a home in Houston in 2022, that you scroll down into the description of this video, get my home buyer's game plan, and it's going to walk you through step by step, each step of the process, because even though we're adults, we don't always feel like we know how to adult. So if you need some help adulting and buying a house, that game plan is for you. What does all this mean? First, as always, any responsible real estate agent is going to tell you this. You need to get pre-approved. I have video about how much cash, I never know which side it's on. Now I look like I'm dancing. There are so many important aspects of the home buying process that your real estate agent and you as the buyers and your lender all need to be working on together. So getting pre-approved is gonna be your first step. And if you need lender recommendations, I have some great ones. I can kind of talk to you, hear your story, give you some options based on what your needs are, and then you can talk to some lenders and choose the right one for you. So step 1 is going to be get pre-approved. Step 2 is, even though inventory is on the rise and the crazy market craze has calmed down quite a bit, you're still going to want to give yourself about 3 to 4 months of lead time between when you actually start looking and when you plan on moving. So let's say that you plan on moving in mid-April. Okay, well, you need to be under contract by mid-March, and it can take you 2, 4, 6 weeks to find the home that you want. So if you're planning to move mid-April, you should really start looking towards the end of January, because it's really hard to time everything out exactly. So you want to give yourself just a little bit of lead time, because if your lease is up and you haven't bought a house yet, where are you going to live? And we can talk through those issues too, but you want to do that. So you want to start looking kind of at the end of January, which means mid to end January is when you want to start talking to a real estate agent, get pre-approved. So give yourself 3 to 4 months of lead time between when you want to move and when you get started. So look at when you plan on moving, go backwards 3 to 4 months, and that's when you really need to start talking to a lender, talking to a real estate agent, and getting started on the process. And then the third thing is you can start looking online now. Once you kind of figure out what you think your price range is going to be and what areas you want to live in, you can start looking online. I always recommend using har.com, because all of those other real estate websites get their information from har.com. So you might as well go right to the source. Sometimes things don't transfer over to those other websites accurately. You can have the wrong house or the wrong address or the wrong price or whatever. So use har.com, and as a matter of fact, if you comment and tell me that you want my personalized link, you can download my HAR app. As a platinum agent with HAR, I have a personalized app so that it'll automatically put us in communication. When you find a house that you like, I'm doing this with a client right now, when she favorites it, it automatically shows up on my list of homes that she loves, so she doesn't even have to tell me. Those are the things that you're going to want to do if you are going to buy a home in Houston in 2022. 1, when it's time, get pre-approved. 2, how do you know it's time? Well, figure out when you want to move, and then 3 to 4 months before that, that's when it's time to talk to a lender and talk to a real estate agent. And then 3rd, go ahead and start looking online so you can really start figuring out, what does a 1-story look like in this area, or a 2-story look like? What area do I want to be in? What are my commute issues, and where my kids are going to go to school or their daycare, or parents or grandparents who can help, all of that. And if you look online, ask me for my personalized link. I will give you that so that we're already in communication, so I can know what you like, so that when it's time, when it's those 3 to 4 months out, we can really buckle down and get you started so that you can buy a home that you love. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I hope something really great happens to you today.